BJ Investigates, aka That Surprise Witness, a big fan of the channel, actually ordered a copy of Kim Autopsy Report and discovered a couple of strange things. We love BJ on this channel. She is a real life friend. I just spent time with her through the Free Britney movement. I stayed at her home. I love BJ and what she does because she goes to the offices and gets the reports and she pulls it out and she reads it and she finds these little clues, things that just don't add up. And her coverage of Diddy has been great. So definitely go and check her out.
But then there's this other bacteriology report, and I really don't know what the difference is, but this one says amended. They name these different bacteria that were found in her blood. The first one is Fusobacterium necrophorum, which I looked this up and it looks like you can contract this from animal bites. Another one that was found in her blood is Clostridium species, not C something something. And I looked that up and, according to Google, this is similar to the type of bacteria that causes botulism and tetanus. Now, all of these are apparently found in her blood. The third one says Enterococcus faecalis, and faecalis means feces. So in her blood, there was a bacteria that is found in feces, in fecal matter. And it says that you can contract it from coming into contact with feces and fecal matter. It was in her blood, though. It was in her blood. So, and then there was one final one.
Okay, there's a lot of things going on in Kim's system. So earlier, we mentioned that there was nothing found in her blood. Maybe that's why this report was amended. But a bite from an animal, feces. I mean, what could she have been poisoned by other things? By illnesses, by bacteria that could have led to her getting so incredibly ill?
Took blood out of her body, ran tests. That's what it looks like to me. Y'all tell me. And they found 4 different types of bacteria. One of these bacteria can come from animal bites. One of these bacteria is similar to the tetanus, right? One of these comes from feces. That's the Enterococcus faecalis. And one of them is closely related to salmonella, which you can contract from eating chicken, fish, whatever. So there's 4 types of bacteria found in this woman's bloodstream. It's on this thing called amended report. And the only thing I can think of is what was in those IV bags they gave her. Lobar pneumonia is a type of pneumonia.
I also question if they were maybe spitballing. What could we list that she had to make it seem like she died? If they were trying to figure out how they're going to frame this death, maybe one of these bacterias were going to work. And maybe it wasn't actually a test that was ran, but a report that was created that isn't factual.
Characterized by the infection and inflammation of one or more lobes of the lung. It is typically caused by bacteria, most commonly Streptococcus pneumonia.
BJ also noted that the doctor that was responsible for this autopsy was redacted, which isn't typical. So why would this doctor get protection unless maybe Diddy had his hand in it all?
And then again, they redact the doctor, PMD. I think that means primary medical doctor. A small amount of blood was noted coming out of the right nostril. And white frothy sputum was coming from her mouth. Only time I've ever heard of that is OD death. White frothy sputum was issued from the mouth. She had a bruise on her upper left arm, multiple small red dots, and what appeared to be a bruise was noted on the right upper arm. Wait a second. Not only did she have a huge bruise on her arm, but she had little red dots. What appeared to be small.
We also know that Diddy had a tendency of grabbing up these women, according to his bodyguards. So if maybe she had a bruise on her arm, maybe she was grabbed by him recently, maybe when he learned about a potential book coming out.
All bruises were also noted to the bilateral posterior of the upper legs. So both of her legs, her thighs had bruises on them. She had a big bruise on her left arm with a bunch of little red dots, and she had a, quote, puncture wound on her right hand.
Those are details that reports leave out. There's no mainstream media company going out and publishing stories that have details like this, which is why it's so important that people like BJ pull these official documents and tell us what's really in them. But I have to talk about I'll Be Sure, because he's also made a lot of statements in defense of Kim. This headline reads that Al B. Sure says his ex Kim Porter was murdered and drops Diddy's name in a bizarre Instagram post. Al B. was once with Kim Porter and they have a son together named Quincy. According to Al B., he doesn't believe that she died of an illness. He thinks that it was homicide. During a video, he was visibly distraught as he cried along to an R&B song. He said, Al B.'s around the world, I just found this footage from the morning I learned of Kim Porter's death and how it ripped the soul from my physical body. I was on the way to film the pre-show packages for the BET Awards. I received a call from Queenie Donaldson asking me if I was okay and if I had heard the news. He continued, I had no clue. I do know very clearly that Kim didn't just check out all of a sudden with pneumonia. That's some BS, really. This is where I get in trouble. We just celebrated our son Quincy's new deal and had a Christmas special with Netflix. She was in fantastic health and laughing and seeing me and Diddy's mutual exchange at the theater. I'm just gonna leave it there. Now, of course, a post like this had a lot of people questioning what Al knows. One person wrote, God bless your soul, Al B. The all-knowing, all-seeing mighty God is at work. He replied, we good, and sir, we will get through this as well. If not, we know who and why. Kind of saying, like, if we don't get through this, we know that Diddy is the one who harmed us and potentially killed us all. A couple weeks later, Al B. made this post and wrote, she sent me this saying, life imitating art, art imitates life. Now it all makes sense. She told me other stuff too. She was running. I said, call the FBI, which makes me think about Sloan Bella and her prediction about this dinner. Maybe she had saw something, she told Al B. about it, and that she was running away from Diddy, trying to get him in trouble for what she had learned. Al said that she was running and that he said to tell her to call the FBI. These claims have not been verified by external media sources, but it's something he posted on social media, and if he's saying call the FBI, well, now we've got a federal investigation into Diddy. He left a comment under that post writing, you would never believe what she went through. A couple months after these posts were made, Al B. Sure went into a coma. I mean, this is real life. He made these posts kind of exposing Diddy, and now Diddy's trying to get rid of him. Al B. was in a coma for 2 months in 2022. His condition was so serious that at one point his doctors considered putting him in hospice, so he was close to death. Of course, a lot of people were speculating what had happened to Al B., especially after Kim had, mysteriously died and he was speaking out. Now, his health complications started when he collapsed in 2022 while working on new music. He was hospitalized and then diagnosed with multiple serious illnesses, including renal failure. As part of his treatment, Al received a new liver, and he said he was now on the mend.
I was intubated. I was on a ventilator, had a tracheotomy. There was so many things going on to the point where they were considering sending me to hospice. And what people don't truly understand unless you've been through this type of medical journey is taking for granted breathing, tying your shoes, speaking.
The fact that they were trying to send him to hospice is incredible because he's here now. I mean, what could have Diddy done that could have ruined this guy's liver? Thank you for watching this clip from the Let's Get Into It podcast. To view the full episode, visit the link listed below.